All right, we got Last Epoch is way better than I thought it would be. So, Rax actually recently quit Diablo, and if you don't know, that's kind of a big deal because that's where all of his, I guess, notoriety has come from. So he quit Diablo because it's just boring as hell. And now he found his way to Last Epoch, which is another ARPG. So let's see what he has to say about it.
Made a video a few days ago talking about my future as a content creator. Said essentially that I was disappointed in Diablo 4.
Yep.
I'm waiting for some real content to come through.
Aren't we all?
That may happen. I told you that I was going to start looking at the other ARPGs much more seriously.
Yeah.
I have played Path of Exile. I've went far enough to get my 4 Void Stones, I believe that they are, and complete my Atlas tree. So I do have some experience in that game.
Yeah, so he pretty much did a lot of the end game. Obviously, there's a bajillion builds, different theory crafting, but he has a good idea. So I think it's a good idea he doesn't focus on PoE as his main game, because I feel there is enough content where he can, learn more and teach audiences things still, and I think there's enough out there to create content off of. But Last Epoch is like an untapped source right now, and if he can be like first mover advantage kind of thing on it, I think that's awesome.
But I had never played Last Epoch, and I have,
assuming Last Epoch gets a lot of steam going,
honestly,
which
mostly for me,
it is an up and comer
for you guys as well. Last Epoch is fantastic. This is just a fantastic game.
Yeah.
And I am quite sure that there's going to be a lot of people down in the comments that say something like, I've been playing this game for years. I've been telling people for years to play this game.
There's always people. I've been playing Last Epoch for 47 years. Like,
I'm going to have to agree with them. I'm very surprised that I have never played this before. And I believe it's scheduled to come out in December. And I just think you have to try this game, man. If you like ARPGs, I think you have to try it. I think it's only like $35 on Steam, so it's half the price of Diablo 4. And I think you're going to be very, very surprised by it. Let me explain it to you this way. So I picked up
this game. Okay, so I have played Last Epoch. It kind of reminds me of like it's a less complex PoE in a way. Obviously less content just because it hasn't been around as long, and the PoE is definitely, like, I would say the GOAT of ARPGs right now. But Last Epoch, for something that, like, you can dive in and relatively easily figure out, a way to make a build without Googling things, but still feel like you accomplished something. Like, this is a good middle ground between Diablo 4 and PoE. This is like if they had, like, a love child and, the systems and things, like, were dumbed down from PoE, but were the intelligence of them compared to Diablo 4, which isn't really saying much, but it's, like I said, it's an in-between game, which is what a lot of people really look for, right?
A rune master that plays Frostclaw, so I'm level 90. I'm getting close to like 200 corruption.
Same idea, you pick a skill
in
and
the end game, which is kind of like
build around it kind of thing.
How far you are. That's not super far into the end game, but it's not nothing. And I am 100% sure that this character in this class is not what I will play again. It's just not my cup of tea. So it's not really the build that I would ever go for. And I'm still having a blast. How many games can you say that about?
Yeah,
you pick the class
you can't.
and the build that you don't want to play. But
I tried playing a reason I quit Diablo 4, aside from it being very boring, I did not want to play Necromancer, and I felt like to be competitive at the time, I had to play Necromancer, and I was not down for that. It was just not a fun class, and on top of it already being a not fun game, it just made it even worse.
Matter, you have fun anyway, which is why I'm so excited to make, 100 different other builds. This is like the Rune Master Mage build. I'm sure there's some godly mage builds like the Sorcerer and Wizard, which I love in other games. This particular one is not one that I'm going to play again. I'm almost certain about it unless they change it. That's how much fun I'm having. I am going to spend a good amount of time learning about this game, and I have been so lucky. There have been so many fantastic people that have been in my streams this last week watching me. I had more people watching me play Last Epoch than Diablo 4. I can't
I
tell you how
believe
many
that.
people watched
Well,
me for a stream. They said, "Damn it,
that assumes people are watching Diablo 4. There is... I think there's like 400 people watching Diablo 4 right now, if that.
Right. I'm going to spend the $35 and they start blasting. I'm not going to get into any specifics about this.
This is a cool system. I like the idols. They kind of like enhance your abilities. They're not too complicated, but you get like this idol brick and you have to fill it in, and you know, each one kind of consumes area, so you get a limited amount. You know, this looks kind of like, ideally you want every single slot filled, but you know, this is like pretty much GG, like as far as what you're looking for, but each one adds different powers. It's actually a cool system.
About this game right now, but I want to tell you just basically why I like it so much, and then I'm gonna continue to draw upon the knowledge. There's some Last Epoch devs in my stream. Some of them are pro players in like PoE and WoW, and now they're designing Last Epoch. I think that gives them a big advantage on some of the systems that they're building. It might take me another week, multiple weeks, maybe another month of blasting, but I'm gonna try my damnedest to learn everything about this game.
That's something you don't see, is developers being interested in the game. That's weird. That's weird.
Make some beginner guides for you, which are really going to accelerate your progression. Now, in the game itself, it has like the best search function ever. You just open up the help guide and you just press G for guide. And earlier today, I got a debuff called Glancing Glow. Just type in glancing, boom, tells you exactly.
Glancing, dude.
This is the way that the game works. Let me just run you through a couple of things. Let me try to sell you on this for 2 seconds. By the way, this is not a sponsored video. Nobody told me to do this. I'm doing this completely on my own. You have infinite stash tabs.
How is that possible? What happened? So you're telling me I have to load infinite stash tabs? Whenever I have somebody in my computer will blow up. How do they do this?
Infinite stash tabs. You click the plus sign, you buy it with in-game gold, which is very easy to acquire. Look how many stash tabs I have.
What?
This is where I just dump all of my... All the uniques, all the legendaries, you can save them. I have 4 tabs of them already. I've only made 1 character and I had no idea what I was doing. All of your idols.
Small indie studio versus AAA gaming company.
Let's say you like rearrange your gear and you're missing.
Can you imagine?
You can just type poison res, and there's a search function, by the way. You can look at it through all the tabs right here. Oh, here's everything with poison resistance.
Yeah.
And then the set items, and then the exalted
it's
items.
It's
infinite.
The ease of life features makes it so
Last
nice.
Epoch has the best loot filter.
And I think that's an advantage that, like, if you have PoE players coming over to do actual development on your game, they know, like, what PoE, like, functions players in that space would want, and they are able to, you know, add that to their game. Diablo 4, I don't even... Sometimes I wonder if these people even, like, play video games, like, much less ARPGs. I'm wondering if, like, these guys have ever played anything other than Minecraft. Like, it's kind of crazy, just absolute loss of understanding for, like, what players and people really want. It's crazy.
You probably understand already. And it has a good hierarchy system,
you know,
where any rule at the top supersedes a rule at the bottom. So you might say at the bottom, hide all white and blue items because white and blue items suck.
True.
But at the top,
so this game has an in-game loot filter. You don't have to go to Filter Blade, so that's awesome, and I think that makes it much more casual friendly. Huge plus. Diablo 4 does not also have a loot filter in game. Loot filters are almost, I feel like, mandatory in games like this if you want to make them any sort of fun. Because loot explosions are fun, but loot explosions are not fun when it's just a bunch of white items and, you know, it's just, like, you can't really tell what's going on in the stack of items. But this allows you to filter through them and get exactly what you're looking for. So this is... Loot filters are just so mandatory, and it's so nice that they have it built in. When I played last Epoch, this was like one of my top favorite things, is that I didn't need to go research somewhere else to get a loot filter.
Say, if you find this one specific blue item that's perfect for me, you can recolor it and capitalize it and show that to me if that drops. Otherwise, I never want to see it. And
Same idea as Filter Blade, just in-game.
Valuable.
Right.
The way that they did that is with the crafting system.
Their crafting system is pretty good.
Anything with forging potential. When you go in here with the forging potential, how the ranks of this, sealing things.
The reason I like Last Epoch a lot, like I said, it's like the love child. It's a little bit simpler than PoE and more complex than Diablo 4. But the crafting it's obviously, if you are a hardcore player, the PoE system's going to be better because there's so many different combinations and possibilities. This is very straightforward and kind of easy to understand. It's like these crafting gems, and if he hits view of materials, it'll show you how many he has. That's a whole bunch, but it allows you to kind of like mix and match these like ability or stat gems and affix and prefix gems to customize the item, which is great. And it does add a layer, but there's not as many different options as PoE, but that's not a bad thing. And you don't there's not it's not orb based, so there's not it's not currency. There's not 50,000 different types of currencies which you have to keep track of, and it's like, oh, do I want to use my chromes or do I want whatever. But these so obviously at the hardcore level, I think you're going to enjoy PoE more, but if you're just a casual RPG enjoyer, you're going to like this a lot more because it's much more straightforward.
Combining it into...
That's one of the problems I hate about PoE, is that the currency is tied to the crafting, and personally I don't like the super in-depth like trade and stuff like that. I just want to be in the game playing, and this allows you to do that.
Into legendaries, upgrading them, having a chance to crit, having a chance to manipulate things with glyphs and with runes, and learning exactly how to use these to maximize your potential. It's very easy to understand for a beginner, but there's many, many levels to it for a pro player too, to make just the godliest items you can possibly get. Every single skill in the game, follow me,
has a tree.
Every
skill has a tree.
Has an entire skill tree.
Yep.
Every skill in the game has an entire tree.
Yeah, it's so good.
It's
so good. So I played a acid flask build. Obviously, it wasn't the probably most optimal build. I didn't even look up a guide. So you see the tree. It's not entirely complex. Like, you could read this relatively quick and kind of get an idea of what you want to do. But each skill on your list of skills, your 1, 2, 3, 4, mouse button, whatever, has a skill tree just like that, is what he's saying. It's so good because it's not complex, but by having so many separate small skill trees, you can make a complex build but not be confused on the direction that you're going, still adding multiple possibilities. So one acid flask build can be different from another acid flask build if you want it to be, right? And this is the type of skill tree I was hoping for in Diablo 4. This is kind of what I was expecting, to modify and amplify and change, or what those abilities do. So this is, I love this.
To customize your skill. Imagine this compared to Diablo 3. Diablo 3, you have a frost bolt or something, and it's got 5 or 6 runes that you choose, and that's it. In this game, you pick 5 skills and you build an entire tree out of them.
Yeah.
Not to mention, you have your base.
So you have the passive tree.
And you
this is this is the thing. So you are able to obviously change these at will. Once you pick either sorcerer or spellblade, it looks like they had a rune master, right? So you cannot change these once you select it. You can't go from this to that unless they change it in an update. It's possible. It's been, 6 months since I've played, but you can't change it once you select that. But these in-tree kind of passives help amplify, and they actually give you additional abilities based on the class, so it's pretty nice. Like, it's not complex at all, right? Very straightforward. The complexity kind of starts to amp up in the skills themselves, which is where you want it. These are like more like stat checks and things like that.
I chose Rune Master, and then you have all of these trees too. Might seem overwhelming. It might seem like, oh my god, here's PoE again. It's super overwhelming. It's much easier to understand than PoE. I played PoE.
Yep.
And I'm not the world's expert at PoE, but I played it.
Yep.
I mean, and
that's the first thing you see in PoE, that tree, and if you're a brand new player, you're like, you just start blinking. You don't even know what the hell they were thinking doing this. Obviously, it's a really in-depth system. It's awesome if you want to get a hold of it, but that does, unfortunately, scare players off.
The games are fun, man. It's just a fun game. There's so many things to do in the monoliths. The end game system.
The monoliths are maps.
There's different ways that they built in to make sure that you might want to farm one monolith over and over and over to target farm. Remember target farming? And target farming.
He says, remember target farming?
And as you play in that monolith, you build the corruption, and you want it to be corrupted because it gives you more loot.
Mm-hmm.
Then you might say, okay, well, if I'm farming in the Reign of Dragons, which is actually what I did until I got this thing, which I really needed. Okay, so I did that. Once you farm there enough, you might say, okay, well, I built all the corruption in the Reign of Dragons. Now when I go into something else to go farm something else I need, I'm starting at 0 corruption, right? They even thought of that. They built in mechanics, catch-up mechanics, where it scans for your highest level of corruption and tries to catch you up to that in the different monoliths that you farm.
So they're doing minor things to actually capture that casual audience and keep them engaged. So, but also adding that layer of difficulty so there's something to actually figure out. It's like, this is why you have to add some level of complexity to the game. It's like unwrapping a present. And when you unwrap the present, you're excited to see what's inside. So the deeper you make that present, the more you dig and more you unwrap, and the more excited you are to see kind of what's in that box, right? So by them doing that, but you don't want to make it too deep, right? Because they're like, Jesus, like, I don't even care about this present anymore. But just enough to keep them engaged, keep them lips wet, your whistle wet, and digging into that present. So
that there's probably a lot of bugs in this game. There's probably problems in this game, just like any other game.
Sure.
It's been in beta forever, and it's supposed to come out in December. But I have to tell you, I am so impressed by this game.
Mm-hmm.
This game is way better than I thought it was going to be, and I would encourage you to give it a try. Why not? It's only $35, and maybe
it does go on sale every now and then too. So
maybe I can release like some gameplay videos and stuff, or some starter guides. But this game's coming out soon, and I think the world is going to be a bit surprised. I think it's going to be surprised how good it is, especially from a smaller gaming company. This can only be a good thing, because this is going to set the bar pretty high. It's going to set the bar pretty high for Diablo 4's future updates. Path of Exile 2, I'm guessing the team has already...
Yeah, Blizzard's not used to having like competition like this, and it's so hard for them to keep up because everything's so slow moving. And I mean, you have so many devs on their team that are just not interested in the IP itself. They're just collecting paychecks. I mean, how could you ever catch up,
at
right?
This and be like, all right, well, we have to deliver a product as good or better than this. That is not easy to do, because they're doing a pretty damn good job. So I give massive credit to the last Epoch team. Not sponsored. Nobody paid me to say this. You might have to look into this, guys, because it's pretty damn good. Anyone that has experience with last Epoch, you hated it or you loved it, post down below, give your honest opinion of it, and let's see if the comment section reflects my initial thought. Tomorrow, one thing that happened, I didn't even know this happened. People are telling me that this weapon that I found is literally like the godliest thing for the class I wanted to make, Void Knight. So I'm going to make a spin to win Void Knight with this weapon. Apparently I got the ultimate weapon.
Let's take a look at this. 100% chance to apply Doom on hit. So you see the stats, they're not like crazy complex. This is probably like the most complex thing on it, Doom, which is like an ability.
And apparently, to get legendary potential, a unit can roll with no legendary potential or 1 to 4. Apparently, getting an Apathy's Maw with any legendary potential is insane. So tomorrow, I'm making a new class. I'm making the Void Knight, and we're going to put this thing on, and we're going to see how bad.
Look how excited he is, man. Look at the joy that he's experiencing.
Miss these moments, man, where you get a really godly item. You're like, oh my god, I'm going to go make a Void Knight now.
Yep.
I mean, where do these experiences, where do these moments go? You know.
Yeah, I mean, you can get it if you want to play the rest of your life on Diablo 4 in the Eternal Realm and hope that you get an Uber Legendary.
Something.
Then you can feel it.
Finding a Thunder Fury on, or building your Thunder Fury, or getting a Warglaive dropped on Illidan or something. Anyway, I'm going to stop talking here. Last Epoch. Pretty
good game. I've played. It's been a while. I might actually try it again, pick it up, see the new updates. But it is a fun game, guys. You should definitely check it out. Good video. I'll go ahead and link it for you.